For the first time since 2016, recruitment of local youth into terror ranks and the number of terrorists operating in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir has come down. South Kashmir, often referred to as a den of terrorism, had around 140 to 150 terrorists operating over the last 5 years. Now there are only 74 left in the region, according to the list maintained by the security forces. In North Kashmir too, the situation has seen greater normalcy with lesser recruitment of youth into terror ranks and terrorist-induced incidents. 2021 witnessed 171 terrorists being killed in encounters with security forces in Kashmir. This figure includes both those from North Kashmir as well as South Kashmir. The 171 terrorists included 149 local and 22 Pakistani terrorists, according to official data. Interestingly, in 2021, 84 local terrorists were either apprehended or had surrendered. This figure was higher than of the 3 previous years. While 2020 witnessed 81 apprehension surrenders, the figure stood at 49 in 2019 and 58 in 2018. Hello and welcome to the special by The Print. Well, I, that is Snehesh Alex Philip, along with my colleague, video journalist Urjita Bhardwaj, are in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir to primarily get you a sense from the ground about what is happening here in the hinterland as well as at the line of control. Now, what you see behind me are the fallen bravehearts of the Kilo Force. Now, if you ask me what a Kilo Force is, well, in Kashmir, the operations are divided into 2 formations. One is, of course, the Kilo Force, which looks after the northern Kashmir. And then you have the Victor Force, which looks after the South Kashmir. And remember that this particular area, that is the northern Kashmir, is a hub for foreign terrorists, that is Pakistani terrorists who are frequently referred to as FTs. Now, as I mentioned earlier, 171 terrorists have been killed in Kashmir in 2021. Of the 171, about 140 were local terrorists. So now the aim is to try and speak to the officers in charge to understand the trend that is there on the ground. We will get you the answers. The Print spoke to Major General S.S. Laria, the GOC of the Kilo Force, which is in charge of operations in North Kashmir, to know more about the ground situation. General, how do you see the overall situation under your command in the area of operation under you?
If I talk about North Kashmir, I think the situation is largely peaceful, stable, and moving towards normalcy. When I define normalcy, that has to have a benchmark somewhere. You already mentioned in the question that previous years you saw a number of incidents and terror activities going on over here. But if we see that benchmark, and when we see now, there are a lot of activities which have taken place. And when we look at the parameters of normalcy, if you want to describe in that manner, terror incidents, stone pelting, poster putting, waving of maybe IS flags and all these things which used to happen over here, band calls, hartals, all these have gone down. What has gone up? The economic activity has gone up. Number of tourists have gone up. Engagement of youth with the maybe security forces or with the government agencies has gone up. Students have started going to school. The online, whether offline, it has gone up. So when I look at these parameters being worked out and what is going up and what is going down, I think we are moving towards normalcy. Situation is largely peaceful and stable as far as North Kashmir is concerned. You asked about what are the reasons behind.
Exactly, the reasons
behind it. I think there are 2 sort of operations which we are broadly looking at. One is obviously a kinetic operations which we focus on, counter-terror operations. That goes on. That doesn't stop. To say that army is not dominating is not correct. It's a huge domination which is on. Counter-terror operations are being done in the most professional and ethical manner. And we are now looking at having largely int-based operations where there is minimum collateral damage, or giving the public doesn't get inconvenienced in that manner. Non-kinetic operations, that becomes one of the major focuses. Now, if you look at the population as such, they are the center of gravity as far as we are concerned. And we want to engage the population in a very, very positive manner. And there are various things which we are doing by engaging them in a positive manner, whether it is the field of education, upskilling them, giving them opportunities to maybe go out of Jammu and Kashmir and study elsewhere, coaching classes, all these things we are doing. So we are engaging that at various levels so that their mind becomes totally focused in a correct direction. So these are the things I think the both kinetic and non-kinetic operations which we are doing, which is helping us having a stable situation in North Kashmir.
So when we talk about counter-terrorism operations, there are multiple terms, of course, which is used. However, in the recent past, when I speak to officers, when I speak to to people in the armed forces, in the security establishment, there's a new term called hybrid terrorist. Then there is a white-collar terrorist.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I know, but if you could explain to our viewers, who is a hybrid terrorist and who is a white-collar terrorist as per the definition?
So if I say hybrid and a hybrid terrorist, no, he's a part-time terrorist. So that is the term which you can also use for a hybrid terrorist. He's a part-time terrorist. Who is he? No, he's a normal citizen. What is he doing? He can be a salesman. He can be a shopkeeper. He could be a student, college-going student. He is mixing. He is staying in the same society. But when the time comes in, it could be agenda-based. It could be from cross-border. Whatever time comes in, he is given a small weapon. He lifts up the weapon. A target is given to him. He goes over there because he's staying in that area. He knows the people over there. He goes over there. He does that terror attack and hands over the weapon back and goes inside the society and just mixes with them.
So that's a hybrid.
So it's a hybrid. No, not only doing a terror incident, he could be the one who is providing all the logistic support. He could be receiving a weapon, giving to somebody else. So we just had an operation last week wherein there was these three guys who were having the weapons and they were waiting it to be given to the terrorists. Yeah. So they were caught over there. These are hybrid kind of terrorists which we are focusing on, and we won't let them get away.
And so, who's a white-collar terrorist?
Now, so white-collar terrorist, this term you would have seen the media coming in very often now. Now, these are the guys who are well-to-do. They are well-to-do, doing very well professionally. Could be a doctor, could be a lawyer, could be a professor, could be a businessman. They do well for themselves. They are doing well for their own kith and kin. When it comes to the gullible youth, these are the ones who are sowing the seeds of fundamentalism or radicalization into these people. They will give a covering fire if some incident happens and giving support to the terrorists and their activities. So these are the ones who are I think, the most dangerous ones, and we need to be exposing them from our society.
So you mentioned about radicalization. As far as North Kashmir is concerned, now this used to be at one point of time the hub of, let's say, the people who are involved in radicalization. What is the level of radicalization here? And in terms of even recruitment, the recruitment of local boys who are joining terrorism is a concern, continues to be a concern. The numbers haven't really dipped that much. So how do you see that? And how many boys are missing? How many from this area have joined?
Actually, the numbers have dipped. If I give you just a figure of, say, after abrogation, 2020 there were about 30, youth who who got recruited. Last year, only 14.
Okay.
And this year, till now, there's no one. This missing youth, I think we will be able to find them back. There's not an issue. But what has largely made this change or recruitment which has come down is basically what I mentioned earlier. It is the engagement which we have seen with the youth. And once they get to know that this is the path which they need to be choosing for life, I think this is going to be going down drastically. Also, I think social media is the one which we also are engaging onto social media, and the propaganda which comes onto social media. We are also looking at how to do a counter propaganda and tell them this is not the right thing which is coming on the social media.
South Kashmir has its own dynamics in play. The increasing normalcy has also resulted in Pakistani terrorists who were lying dormant till now becoming active in South Kashmir. The dynamics of Kashmir changes from one part to the other. What I mean is that the dynamics in North Kashmir is completely different from that in South Kashmir. You've heard the GOC of the killer force who is in charge of the northern Kashmir speaking to you. Today I am in Avantipura, the headquarters of the Victor force which looks after South Kashmir. We'll try and get you an insight into the dynamics, or let's say the change dynamics on the ground here in South Kashmir. I have with me the GOC of the Victor Force, Major General Prashant Srivastav. Now, before I speak to him, I want to tell you viewers that he is the first actually the GOC of the Victor Force from the Para regiment, right, sir?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, General, I think the first question that I would and the viewers would like to know is about what is the situation here in South Kashmir, an area which is known as the hotbed of terrorism for the past so many years.
Uh, well, Alex, you've been here since morning. And in fact, you went to the center of gravity of, so to speak, of South Kashmir, which is the Shupia Pulwama area. And you witnessed on ground and got to meet the people. So I'm sure that you got a good sense of what's there at the ground level. And I would like to share that things have changed, and they have changed for immense improvement. This is not the first time I'm here. I've been here in the past as well, and I've seen how the things have changed for better. There's a greater enthusiasm. There's a greater amount of positivity. There's a greater amount of happiness and yearning for a normal life. So there is a greater sense that people want to be part of the change that the trajectory of India has been showing. They all want to be part. They want to come along as a nation that all of us, are the direction that we have been, wanting to go at. So, in all, I would say that we are, the situation is far better than what it used to be there earlier, few years back. There is a greater participation of people in every activity, and the indices that you look at, the recruitment is down, the neutralization has gone up, the human intelligence has started coming out in a manner that it's incremental. The educational institutes are absolutely bustling. The coaching centers, you don't have place to put in a kid. The tourism is there. The infrastructure is phenomenal. And all this has happened in the last couple of years.
There also incidentally the number of in the operations so far in the last 1 year, I think you've killed about 51 odd terrorists. But of them, the numbers of the Pakistani terrorists are higher in comparison to previous years. Why is the number of Pakistani terrorists higher? Is it because there is a greater infiltration that has taken place, or is there any other aspect to this, a slight increase in the number of Pakistani terrorists who are getting killed?
No, see, so far as the Pakistani terrorists are concerned, the numbers have increased only last few months.
Yeah.
And in fact, to be precise, in last about 3.5, 4 months or so, there have been close to about 9 Pakistanis that have been neutralized. Now, this needs a context. New recruitment is not taking place. The local leadership has been targeted, and of course, both are correlated. These people had to come up because it is like a make or break. So they had to come out to entice violence, and that's the reason that in fact, just to add on to little more than what you've asked, that in the past few months, when they have not been able to get people by उनको बरगला करके जब नहीं ला पा रहे हैं तो डरा करके लाने की कोशिश करी जा रही है. Attempt to kill civilians, where we have suffered, my boys have suffered casualties. trying to create an environment which may generate a kind of an emotion which they have failed. So that's the reason they have come out and open. And that's the reason each time they'll come out and open, they'll get neutralized. And otherwise also they'll get neutralized.
So basically, these were the terrorists who had already infiltrated by lying dormant, who have now become active because of the lack of recruitment.
Very. While the infiltration, I won't have the exact numbers of what has taken place, and there are, but
absolutely.
But bulk of these have been here in the past, have been here for some time, and have been neutralized, and include some of their terrorists who've been here for two years.
Stone pelting incidents have also come down during operations, while human intelligence inputs regarding the presence of terrorists have gone up. As far as, in terms of operations that have been conducted, in the past, stone pelting was something which was known, Kashmir was known for. Every time an operation happened, there used to be stone pelting and all. In the recent past, now you have greater interaction with the civilian population. You organize multiple events. For a change, I've seen a lot of youth taking part in events organized by the administration along with the army. In terms of stone pelting and other such incidents, is there a trend that is visible, sir?
This is absolutely, you got spot on. Now, I'll give you an example that what used to happen. I don't need to give an example. You guys are well aware of it. That how somehow the mobilization is to take place for carrying out this for whatever reasons. In last 3.5 months, and I would extend it beyond that as well. There has been no stone pelting. We sometimes as a precautionary measure, they were this thing that we lower the levels of communication so that the misinformation is not generated or spread. We don't do that anymore.
So there are no, in the sense, phone lines which are cut down, the towers are switched off?
Absolutely, none whatsoever. The operations are carried out as in an environment as it exists, prior to this thing, and it is not one, and this I would take into account that not neutralization of some newly recruited terrorist, but some of the leaders. And we had some top leaders that have been neutralized in the past few months, including the district commanders and what have we. Not one instance where there has been some kind of an indicator also that people are trying to get together there, or there's likelihood of stone pelting elsewhere. Not once, and that's a sign that we were talking about change at the ground level. In fact, post neutralization of one of the Jash fellows here, we got the input that people wanted him somehow neutralized and were scared not to share, but that has happened. They're all coming out in open कि साहब बहुत अच्छा हुआ, इस आदमी ने हमारा जीना हराम किया हुआ था, and he was there was a exploitation at every level.
So one last question to you, sir. The various operations have been conducted in the past. A lot of information is from the tech end. Human end was something which was not really available there. Of course, you had what I would say is professional informers, who of course gave information to the security forces for different purposes. But in terms of actual human end from the ground, is there any change that is there, sir?
Absolutely. There was a reliance on technical intelligence, and of late, the human is increased to such a large volume and voluntary. And this is not something that you said, that the professional informers. These are the kids playing on the ground, or just running across to you कि साहब उधर वहाँ पे 2 आतंकवादी बैठे हुए हैं. Yeah, you are into an operation. You have been told that in this village there is a likelihood of terrorist presence there, and you are searching, you're not finding the terrorist. One boy comes out. He says साहब इस घर के अंदर बैठे हुए हैं. And that's the level of human that I'm referring to. And these are happening in the native villages of the terrorist. Nobody wants to be associated remotely with anybody who's picked up a weapon.
Well, that's a very refreshing change that has taken place on the ground here. In case, as General Srivastav mentioned, that the human has increased. There's a larger interaction with the between the forces and the public, and some of these have been witness of these interactions. And there is no doubt about the fact that Kashmir is probably at the cusp of change. So one really have to wait and see what lies ahead, especially the summer this year. This is Snehesh Alex Philip signing off with my video journalist Urjita Bhardwaj from Avantipura here in Jammu and Kashmir.